Americans are growing increasingly concerned about the war with Iran and its impact. Our latest CBS News poll finds as the approval of Donald Trump's handling of the conflict has dropped to 36%. Back home, the president's ratings on handling of inflation are at the lowest level of his second term, with only 31% approving. For more, we're joined by our Executive Director of Elections and Surveys, Anthony Salvanto. Good to have you here, Anthony.
Morning, Margaret.
So what exactly are Americans telling you?
Well, when I just asked how this war is making you feel, the top answers people give are worried and stressed. Let's unpack that. Why? When they look overseas, they see a lot of important goals for the U.S. Big bipartisan majorities think it is important, too. You can go down the list. Stop Iran's nuclear program. Make sure the Iranian people are safe and free. Change the regime, change the leadership in Iran, and most important, open the Strait of Hormuz. And what you see is interesting is when you juxtapose that and ask them, well, have those things been done? You see a dramatically different answer because very few people think that they have. What that collectively tells you is this looks to people like unfinished business. There are goals. OK, the war began. Not everybody liked it. But now they're saying make sure it pays off in ways that come back to the U.S. And let me pick up on that word pays off for a second, because when they talk about opening the strait, so really talking about gas prices.
Right.
And what we've seen is people here telling us those higher gas prices are a financial hardship, difficult to pay. And so that is having an impact both on their views of the economy more generally, as well as their pocketbooks. And you mentioned those ratings at the top. Look, sort of like first rule of politics, gas prices and prices go up and approval ratings start to go down.
Well, the president always uses social media to make, big statements of intent. A few days ago, he posted a particularly incendiary one. It said, quote, "A whole civilization will die tonight, never to be brought back again. I don't want that to happen." That statement drew rebukes from even some of the president's closest supporters, as well as the Pope. You gauged reaction to that rhetoric. What did the American public think?
So by the time we got to talking to them, people had heard and seen that post. And when we showed it to them, the general view was they disliked it. There were some who said, OK, a little bit more like, and those were folks in the MAGA base, not all, but relatively more. But it's also a window into how people process some of these statements. And we've been looking at this for 10 years that are, if you will, shattering norms or changing the way things have been done in the past. And that is, they thought it was at least as much a negotiating tactic as it was an intention.
So how does all of that impact how the public views the president's leadership?
So one consistent thing through this war is that most people have said they don't feel the administration has clearly explained the goals. I followed up on that this week, and most folks who feel that way think it's that the goals have kept changing that they've heard, not that they haven't articulated anything. So there's that wide array, and they're not clear which one exactly. That relates to most people saying they don't feel Donald Trump has a clear plan for this conflict. Those two things together speak to that collective uncertainty about it, if you will. And when there's uncertainty, you inevitably start to see ratings overall and the feeling that the war isn't going well yet going down.
Anthony Salvanto, interesting stuff. Thank you.
Thanks.